Hey, Gator Nation. Welcome back to another episode of the Respect Our Decision podcast. Guys, as always, I'm your host, Hirsch. With me, my boy, CJ the Man McCann,
What's up, guys?
and the hype man, Wes.
Was good, Gator Nation.
Hey, Gator Nation. Spring practice is upon us. If you haven't already, guys, go check out our offensive preview of spring and our defensive preview of spring practice in the last two episodes we did, available on our YouTube channel. As always, guys, you can always download us wherever you get your podcast from. And if you are, by fact, checking us out on the YouTube channel and you haven't already, guys, do us a favor, man, and throw us a subscribe. Helps us a great deal. Drop a like on the video, guys. And in this episode, guys, we're going to be doing our way too early schedule breakdown for 2024. We're going to go ahead and talk about the schedule as it lays out and what we think the Gators can honestly do against the schedule as of now. Obviously, spring practice, everything's going, there's going to be changes. People will get hurt, roster changes, people might leave, we might gain a couple of players. But we're going to go ahead and talk about it tonight. But in the comments below, guys, go ahead, drop us your way too early record prediction against this schedule next season. What you think the Gators are going to do. We got some optimism, man. We got some reasons for optimism. We're going to talk about that in a second. Excuse me. As you know, Hirsch went to the mountains. I came back. Pollen's already in my lungs. You're gonna have to bear with me, guys. It's bad down here. But we're gonna talk about a few recruiting matters real quick. Couple prospects that are gonna be in town the next couple of days. We're gonna start off with safety Hilton Stubbs. If you hadn't seen already, Hilton Stubbs got a crystal ball prediction, or a on 3 RPM prediction, excuse me, from Corey Bender earlier today. And he will be taking an unofficial visit to Gainesville tomorrow. Guys, this is one that could be done sooner than later. I'm not predicting that it's going to happen tomorrow, but there's a lot of reason for optimism that this one is nearing the finish line. Would be a great addition, obviously, for Will Harris, Coach Napier, Coach Armstrong to the safety room. Great 2025 prospect. So hopefully we go ahead and get that one done. Another guy I want to talk about real quick, running back, Akelin Deer is visiting from Mississippi. This is a young man. He's the number 32 prospect in the country, currently ranked in the 2025 class. This is a running back I know the staff is really hot and heavy over. I think, CJ, I think you were real hyped up on this kid at one point in time as well. I think you had made a comment about him. Always want these big-time running backs. Obviously, another running back from the state of Mississippi on the heels of getting Kanan Daniels last year. I know that Ole Miss obviously is favored for the young man right now. Not a big surprise with what Lane's doing out there recruiting-wise. But this is a kid that if you could wow him, blow him away, maybe get him in the class, man, he would be a really huge addition on top of already having, obviously, Waltez Clark in the class. So just a couple recruiting nuggets. Nothing big, nothing groundbreaking really, but it's good to have a little bit of hype going on right now as spring practice is about to be upon us. Guys, anything about these two pros? Obviously, Hilton Stubbs would be a huge get. Wes, are you – I know you're pretty excited about that young man as well.
Yeah, the safety secondary is something we have had a problem with as far as getting big time safeties in. Castell was probably the last big time safety that we've got in. A lot of the guys that we've had back there before, a lot of 3 stars. When you look at Davis and I forget the kid from Houston that we Steiner, Donovan Steiner, and some of those guys. But we hadn't really had like big time safety since Marcus May and Keanu Neal left the program. We had some guys that just been back there. I'm still high on Torrance and I'm still high on Castell, as those guys have been some of the latest guys within that stretch. You know how long ago that was that Marcus May and Keanu Neal played for us. So I'm happy about that. That's a big time get, like as you talked about, as far as Harris being, if that's his first get, as far as in this cycle right here, I'm gonna love it. As far as the running back, it's crazy that if you think about it, our running backs have been coming from out of state, still down south, but out of state, like Mississippi, Alabama. When you think about when we started with Lamichael Piron, and then you had Damian Pierce from out of Georgia, we hadn't really got a lot of Florida running backs in here. Even Trevor Etienne was from Louisiana. So we've gotten a lot of guys from out of state as far as the running back position, even in this past class. So, with Daniel. So I'm excited for both of these two guys. I mean, they're highly recruited, and if this class starts off like how it's been with the O line commit that we got recently, highly rated. To my surprise, the class is starting off pretty good. You know, getting highly recruited guys. If we can get these two guys in the class, not saying I know we talked about the safety. His RPM, crystal ball, whatever you want to call it. It's a good start. I can't be mad at Napier, even on the hot seat still. He's still doing what he does. Harris, got to point him out again, doing what he's doing as far as recruiting. If he can bring that kid in and get that solidified. But as we talked about before, it's going to matter when the season starts and how we look at as far as on the field. And if Napier can keep his job, it will be a big deal.
CJ, any thoughts?
No, no, just yeah, Mississippi's produced a lot of good running backs, so this would be another good guy to get. We went into Mississippi last year and we got Kanan Daniels, who was the best running back in the state, Mr. Football over there in Mississippi. So to get over there, definitely has to buy you a little clout in that area. Having that guy on your roster, that's Mississippi has done well producing talent. Cam Akers came from Mississippi. Rajon Neal came from Mississippi. So they do a really good job over there with running backs. You got a lot of good athletes. And then Hilton Stubbs is a great safety. He would be a great addition to the team. Will Harris to go ahead and get started that early with a guy like that would be really good for him. Get the ball rolling. As we go into the year of recruiting more of these defensive backs because our defensive secondary has been so kind of nah lately. We've got a lot of guys in the room that are just developing at this point. They're still young. We don't know what we have yet. So as much as you can get those guys in, as many defensive backs as we can pull, I think it's the best possible outcome for us. I think we're going to need it. Where we did lean on the portal a little bit. We got some guys out of the portal, but those were all very older, experienced players. So you're basically got those guys on like a 1 year loan. You gotta get some more depth pieces for that secondary in there. We don't want to get in a position like we were last year where you really didn't have any depth, and the depth you did have was super young because you had not recruited the secondary very well.
Yeah, a big deal to me is just we need to make sure we start really getting back into Florida, getting more prospects from the Sunshine State. Quit letting a lot of these guys get away to Ohio State, obviously Bama, Georgia, all those schools. We need to really zero in, keep a lot of these kids home. Obviously, last year's class, a lot of prospects from out of state. And the year before that, we made such a big deal about Billy keeping a, a footprint of within like 400 miles of campus, getting so many prospects. So we need to really try to get back to that, grabbing kids from in-state and surrounding areas, keeping them away from FSU, Miami as well. All right, guys, that's all we got recruiting wise this week. Hopefully between now and next week's show, maybe we get a commitment from Mr. Stubbs. It'd be nice to have something to talk about there recruiting wise. Kids will start rolling back in here as spring practice starts. So they visit for these practices. So that will give us obviously some more talking points as far as that goes and see what kids are coming in. As of another note today, I know that a South Carolina insider dropped a crystal ball for Mr. Ryan Montgomery to go to South Carolina. It's looking more and more like that's the way that's trending. I think Ryan Montgomery knows that to come to the University of Florida means to sit behind DJ Lagway. And I think that's something you're going to have to overcome if you're Billy Napier recruiting the quarterback position, is you're going to have to convince somebody, look, you can come here and not have to sit, or maybe, whatever you have to do to convince a quarterback to come here, the class after DJ Lagway. Does that mean Mr. Hill from up in Georgia becomes the primary focus of the quarterback recruiting if Montgomery does commit to South Carolina? He might already be the number one focus. Right now I know Mr. Ryan Montgomery was very high on the quarterback board, but I know Hill is right there with him. So we'll see how it shakes out. All right, guys. 2024 schedule, man. We don't, there's no football going on right now, man. We need some football to talk about. So we're gonna manifest it through talking about this here schedule. We've been talking for weeks about the 24 schedule. Obviously, everybody and anybody are talking about how hard the Florida schedule is in 2024. And I'm not sure that it's a tale of two schedules. Obviously, the front half and the back half. So I think we all kind of agree that the key for Billy Napier with this schedule next year is going to be obviously getting ahead of it and staying well ahead of it. You don't want to be looking at 4-2 or 5-3 or something like that. You need to be out ahead of it more than that. And so we're going to start off here. We're going to talk about, we're going to start talking about the first quarter of the schedule first. Let's break down the first. We'll break it down into 3 quarters. So we're going to start off Miami at home. Obviously, this is going to be a crazy huge atmosphere game. First time we've played Miami in a while. Going to be a lot of hype around Miami coming into the season with Cam Ward being their quarterback, but that's a brand new quarterback to their system. I understand he's a very talented quarterback, but has he ever played in an environment like that game in the Swamp's going to be week 1, versus Florida? So that, you start there. Then you have Samford comes to town. Obviously, we know what happened the last time Samford came to town, but hey, different team, different era. And then you have Texas A&M come to town. So you open with those 3 straight home games. Texas A&M, obviously, new coach and a complete roster shakeup there. So a lot of interesting, moving pieces there. And then you travel for that 4th game to Starksville to play Mississippi State, another team that has kind of been in a whole lot of, unrest, especially since Coach Leach died. So you're looking at those first 4 games, and obviously I would say probably right now the Miami game probably looms as the hardest of those first 4. Guys, there's a real chance if you can get a win in that first week of the season, you could run 4-0 right out the gate. So it's going to be very important for Billy and company to come out week 1. You're not telling Billy Napier anything he doesn't already know. That Miami game just looms as maybe, as of right now, maybe the most important game on next year's schedule, to be very honest. Because it's going to set the tone. CJ, I'll start with you. In that first 4-game stretch, what do you see as the challenges and the possibilities record-wise?
Oh man, you're talking. Man, you could look at that and say 4-0. Because you're talking Miami that even Miami has added some pieces. They've recruited well. Can Miami get out of Miami's way? That's a lot of their issues. They've got some guys over there. Cam Ward definitely helps. They, for a while there, they looked like they were going to go into the Swamp with Ja'Cory Brown, and if that was the case, this is pretty much a locked-in win for us because I just didn't feel like Ja'Cory Brown could get it done. But Cam Ward definitely makes things a little different. Cam Ward's a good quarterback. It will be an adjustment for him, to play in this offense with guys that he doesn't know. Kind of like what we saw with Graham when he came in and played Utah the first game last year. Graham had some growing pains. He wasn't what the Graham Mertz that we would see later on. Definitely some communication issues and things like that. And you're on the road, you're in the Swamp. So definitely a game to look at. Samford, you should beat that team handedly. Samford's not exactly a team that we need to worry about. If we were worried about Samford, we're in a big mess. Texas A&M is a question mark to me because I don't. They're really in a position where you really don't know what to expect with them. We'll have a couple of weeks on them at that point going into the game. We'll have an idea. Um, I think that A&M's got some talent. They've got some really good pieces over there. A couple of guys from our our roster that they took. So I mean, A&M could definitely show up and surprise you. And then you go to Starkville, Mississippi, and play in the Cowbells. Um, this isn't. I feel like we should beat Mississippi State, and I don't think that's really any fault of Mississippi State. I think that Jeff Lebby will probably do a pretty good job there. I think he'll be able to really get the place, back and running, to respectable, Mississippi State level. But I oh, but
All right.
but
You didn't mute
I
your phone on the live stream, I swear.
but no, Jeff Lebby definitely could turn that thing around. But the problem with Jeff Lebby is I don't know what he's got to work with at Mississippi State. You went from one offense Mike Leach was running. Arnett came in and he's tried to change that. Changed a lot of players, a lot of different pieces in there. Definitely some guys on the team that are really good, but a lot of those guys have transferred out. They're missing some of their key players. I just think that Mississippi State's going to be in a situation where they're having to overturn the whole roster and figure out what kind of offense they want to be. I think there's just some growing pains there. So again, I think there's definitely a real possibility that you can start the season 4-0. I think realistically, it's probably 3-1. I think you find a way to lose one of those games, just based on what we know. I think that A&M has talent, Miami has talent. I could definitely see us dropping one of those games. So Miami will definitely give us a good gauge of how good is this team early on, and it will be an important game.
Wes, what's your take on these first four?
I'm with you, both you guys. There's a real chance that we can be 4-0, hers, and I would be disappointed if we're not because I am a believer in Billy the recruiter, and I feel like if Billy the coach can get his issues fixed on the field, that we could be in a better position. Even with the stuff that we talk about that goes on behind the scenes. I mean, Miami, as CJ said, I don't know if it'll tell the story of the season because it's week one. New quarterback for Miami. They're playing the swamp. By the way, I will be at that game, so I'm looking forward to seeing how we perform on the field week one with the defense. The best thing we have is we have Graham Mertz coming back, and we losing a lot of our offense with Ricky and Trevor, but we all talked about Webb, and we know who Trey is. So I feel like it's going to be the defense and what we can do, defense on the field, and him coming into that environment. And because it is week one, the fans are going to be optimistic. It's not going to be like week 7, week 8, where if we are 1-6, then the swamp might not be sold out. The swamp is going to be sold out week 1. Trust me, I know because I'm trying to get hotels down there and I can't get them. So the swamp is going to be bumping. It's going to be riding week 1. We have to at home, and that's the best part of this. 3 of the games of that 4 we at home. Sanford we don't have to talk about. Texas A&M we're at home. We gotta win that game. And there's
Especially added fuel of the coaches that have gone there.
yeah, we gotta close that out. I mean, if we can beat Texas A&M, there's no way we should lose to Mississippi State in Game 4. And I'm saying that because that's where I want our program to be. That's me being the optimist. Y'all know I'm the hype man, and I can see us very. And I know CJ said we'll find a way to lose. I hope that's the old us. I hope that we don't find a way to lose that game. And we can start off 4-0. So like Hirsch said in the beginning when we started talking about the schedule, get ahead of this damn schedule because the schedule is going to get harder as it goes. So if we can beat Miami week 1, of course we beat Sanford. Texas A&M will be a good game, but they lost a lot of talent on both sides of the football. Offensive, the same thing with Miami. Miami lost a lot of defensive talent. A lot of those guys are in the draft right now with Taylor and Kitchens and those boys. So, they're bringing in Cam Ward, but they're losing a lot of their defensive guys. And I just feel like if our offense can continue to click in the way Graham had it last year, we can get to 30. plus points with the defense that they're losing, and the fact that our fans are going to be loud and rowdy week one. I feel like that we in Miami they have some good running game. That to me that'll be the key, and we'll talk about that of course once we get to week one of the season, stopping their running game. But I feel like we can be 4-0 Hurst. I don't see why we can't do it. We have the 3 of the 4 games at home against the two toughest part of the 2 toughest teams, which is to me is Texas A&M and Miami. And the fact that we have Miami week one and they got to work out wrinkles and they can emulate it in practice all they want, but it's going to be different when you got all those people screaming on each, especially early in the game when it's loud and it's chaotic and you can't hear. There's no substitute for that. So we should win that game. I don't care if it's 10-7. Got to start with a win, and then I think the rest will fall into place, and we can be 4-0. So at that point in the year, I'll be very, very, very happy because I believe we're going to be 4-0, and that's the hype man talking. Yeah, we're going to be 4-0. I see it right now, barring any injuries during the spring and summer. We're 4-0.
Yeah. It's very cliche to sit there and say that Miami game is must win. It's the biggest game. It's all of these things, but it really, really is. Like, I mean, you're going to get such an idea of what this team is identity wise right out of the gate there. This isn't like going to Utah week one last year and breaking in all those new faces and whatnot we did last year either. Your team identity is pretty much already there, with the exception of some of the transfers that are coming in. Obviously, you're going to have a little bit of shuffle with that, but you're going to know what this team is all about week one, especially on the defensive side of the ball. You're going to have to, that crowd is going to have to be raucous. It's going to have to be the 12th man. No, no pun intended with A&M, but and really, really get them off schedule. And if you can win that game against Miami in week one, and like CJ said, Miami's biggest opponent usually is themselves, especially with Mario, over there coaching. They're going to give you something. They're going to make some mistakes. They always seem to do it. So get loud, hit them in the mouth. SEC football. Obviously, they beat A&M. They beat A&M last year, but they kind of fell apart after they beat A&M last year too. That was like their big time win last year, and that A&M team last year, as we know, wasn't really that great of a ball club. So, and they lost all those players. So you get through that first 4-game stretch, and I'm kind of somewhere in the middle. I think we can be 4-0. I think we could probably more likely be 3-1, but obviously that week one is just really going to show you everything you kind of want to see. So now we go to this second 4-game stretch, and it's obviously a little tougher than the first 4-game stretch. UCF comes to Gainesville. Now, we should be beating UCF. I'm not going to deep dive that. Obviously, last year they tried to move up a class, a little bit there, and they had their struggles. And that ball coach ain't exactly world-class material over there. So anyway, now here's where it starts to, we get a little harder. We're going to go to Knoxville and play Tennessee. But once again, breaking in a new quarterback. Now, by this time, obviously, Nico will have a few starts under his belt. He's already played some this previous year, whether it be in spot duty and whatnot. But obviously, the young man is very talented. But they've lost a lot of pieces this year, too. So it'll be interesting to see how Tennessee plays coming out the gate with a freshman, not a redshirt freshman quarterback. Obviously, when you're playing in Knoxville, it's always a whole different monster. That's, that stadium can really be a beast. Then Kentucky comes to Gainesville. Now, obviously, this isn't last year's Kentucky's team. Ray Davis gone. Quarterback Larry gone. So you're breaking in a new quarterback there, whether it be the transfer from Georgia, Vandergriff, probably going to get the nod there. But that's a young man. Once again, this is another quarterback that has not played any meaningful snaps in college football. So But by this point, we're in week 6. He's gotten some starts by this point, but coming to Gainesville to play once again against that big Gainesville crowd. So look, you got to get this Kentucky monkey off your back, and this would be a very, very good opportunity to do that. And finally, the last game, obviously, of that stretch after the bye week, Jacksonville playing Georgia. Carson Beck back in the saddle there. Obviously, you know what Georgia's going to bring to the table, but they lost a lot of offensive weapons as well this year. So, but you're still going to get the best effort from Georgia. They're full of talent. They're going to be what they are. Um, but I don't think I'm not sure they're going to be quite as good as they were even last year, but time will tell. All right, Wes, starting with you this time. What's your take on this second 4-game stretch?
Yo, Hirsch, I'm going full hype man West, and
Oh, Jesus
we're gonna
God.
clip this. We're gonna clip this. Soon. Well, not soon, but but as the year goes on, because I called it. If we hit that stretch where I think 4-0, I can see 7-0 and Lewis losing to Georgia. So let me go back and recap what you said. You talked about UCF. We should beat UCF. We have them at home, but this is the luxury of the schedule. As tough as it is, Hirsch, as you pointed out, a lot of these games are at home. Now, could we have the hiccup at Tennessee because Nico is a dude? He is a guy, and that stadium, as much as we hate Tennessee, their fans would be there because it's us, and they may be 5-1, 4-2, something like that. Whatever their record is, if they're winning, and even if they're not winning, if they're average team, and he's just doing stuff that we think that kid is capable of doing because he is a guy, he's DJ Lagway for us. So they're going to be out and about, and like I said, they're playing us. We could lose that game, but let's say we win that game because to me that's a coin flip game. To me, that's the first coin flip game on the schedule, Tennessee. So I feel like we should beat them. We could beat them, and that'll put us at 6-0, right? So Kentucky at home, that's 7-0, Hirsch. We're 7-0 against Kentucky because we're gonna beat them too. They're coming to the swamp. You said we got to get the monkey off the back. I see the monkey coming off our back. I feel like we should be able to beat them at home. I feel like if we're 6-0 where I have us at, and our defense is rolling to where I feel like with Roberts and Armstrong and Boone and Cersei and Jackson and Castell and Devin Moore is healthy and Jakeem Jackson is pick sixing and Shamar James is back and Graham is doing his thing and Webb is running and Montrell is running and Trey is looking like the best receiver in college football. This is what we wanted. We're 7-0. Now we're going to play Georgia. Georgia has one loss. I think they lose to Alabama or somebody they have. I looked at their schedule once or twice. Clemson. Maybe they lose to Clemson week 1. So maybe Georgia already has one loss on their belt. We play Georgia close this year, and we lose to Georgia. I'm saying it now, but if we're 7-0 going into that game, guys, on this podcast, I would not pick us to lose to Georgia. I'm doing this now because it's not authentic. It's not real. This schedule is fluid. So just look at it like this is fluid. So don't hold me to it. It's fluid. It's March. It's just early March. So it's fluid. So I think we go into that game. We lose a close game to Georgia and Jacksonville. But by that time, if we're 7-0, I'm damn sure ain't picking us to lose to Georgia, especially if they done lost to Clemson and maybe Bama or something. I think they got Bama early too. So, and Ole Miss. I don't know when they play Ole Miss either, but I know they have some tough games, and Texas, Oklahoma, one of them. But Georgia has a tough schedule as well. So maybe if I see how Carson Beck look and maybe they have one or two losses, maybe I don't pick us to lose. But I have us 7-1 with that loss to Georgia. But I think with this early part of the schedule, we're straight because of the home games. To me, it's the fact that we're playing at home, and if we start out fast, I'm gonna continue to say this because you guys alluded to it as well. That week 1 is probably, even though I don't think it, because week 1 is so crazy, because you can be a different team from week 1 till you get to week 12 or week 11 or it'll be week 13 because of the bye week. But if you'll be a different team week 1, week 0 till you get to week 13 with the at the end of the season, but it can jumpstart us because we have such a favorable home schedule at the beginning. Now, the back four that you're going to talk about will be elite to a certain extent, and I'll get to that point once we talk about the last four. But I'm feeling good right now. Like this year, Naper's back, the recruiting's back. Florida's back. We have something to be proud about. You can do your trolling. CJ can do his trolling. I'm not good at trolling, guys. I wish I would help a brother out. Give me some likes when I do troll, but I'm not up to CJ's and Hirsch's caliber with the trolling. But help a brother out, man, because CJ and Hirsch is going to be on it this year. They're going to be trolling. They're going to say Wes is right. They're going to pull up this clip. As I told y'all, 7-1, baby. And we looking good. Top 10 team. And we might be in the playoffs if we 7-1. We could be in the early playoff picture.
All right. My God. Only so much hype we can handle. All right. CJ, good luck following up that analysis.
No, okay, yeah. I mean, we should beat UCF. We should beat Kentucky. We lose to Tennessee and Georgia. If we go 4-0, we're 6-2 at that point. I will jump with joy. I will have a pizza party or something. If we end up being 6-2 by the time that rolls around, I'll take it at this point because it's been so rough. I think we can beat UCF. I think we can beat Kentucky. If we can find a way to go 4-0 to start the season, that helps out a ton. You're already 6-2 at that point. Tennessee's probably going to beat us on the road in Knoxville. I think we're going to trade wins with Tennessee. I think we're really kind of at that point where Tennessee's kind of finally catching talent and doing good things. And, you're playing in Knoxville. If we were playing in Gainesville, I'd probably feel different because I've just, Tennessee hadn't beat us since the Bush administration in Gainesville. So, maybe you take that a little different. But I think the Tennessee, we probably lose a close game there in Knoxville. I think, you got to be competitive in Jacksonville this year. I don't expect to beat Georgia. They're just on a different plane than us right now. But you got to be competitive in Jacksonville this year. I don't, something within 10. Don't get blown out most of the game and, squeak some points at the end to make it look closer than what it was. It's got to be respectable. we can't just keep getting our eyes beat out every time we go down there. So yeah, I think that's it. You got to beat UCF. It is what it is. We lost a stinker of a game in the Gasparilla Bowl to UCF with half the team missing. This time they're coming to Gainesville. You've got to beat UCF. It just, you cannot let that fan base have a win over you, like an actual honest to God win, because they will be insufferable. And you got to beat Kentucky because I'm tired of losing to Kentucky. I go back to what I don't remember if it was Spikes or somebody said. Nobody's allowed in the pool if we're losing to Kentucky and Vanderbilt. We cutting the pool off. You ain't doing no cannonballs, no belly flops. Y'all staying out of the lazy. We're out of the lazy river. You could skateboard in it for all I care, but we gotta do something. We cannot lose to Kentucky and Vanderbilt. We've done that way too often as of late. You've got to beat Kentucky. You cannot keep losing to Kentucky. You're at home. Kentucky, at this point, I don't even know who's on their team anymore. You just, I don't know what Stoops did. I don't know if he gave up his firstborn grandchild or something to get wins over Florida to keep his job at Kentucky. But we can't keep doing this. It's got something's got to change there. So, like I said, if we can pull that off and we're sitting somewhere 5-3, 6-2 at that point, I'll be happy with it.
If you start 6-2, then Billy Napier keeps his job, and we can quit talking about the hot seat. I would almost guarantee at that point. And I think the fan base would be really strong behind him if you're 6-2 at that point. If you're not, then you're just looking for something to complain about, because everyone that's anyone has said, oh, well, Florida's going to just melt against the schedule and Billy Napier is going to lose his job. So if you're out the gate 6-2, your losses are Tennessee on the road and Georgia and Jacksonville, you've done a phenomenal job holding serve in my estimation. So let's go into the Final Four stretch. And obviously, this is where the absolute, you're getting beat over the head. You come out of Jacksonville and you got to go immediately to Austin to play Texas, who's going to be an absolute monster of a team this year, most likely. It is what it is. Let's just go ahead and call it what it is. If you go to Austin, Texas, and you pull out a victory there, then Billy Napier gets an extension.
I'll dance at your next wedding, Hershey, if we beat Austin.
If we go to Austin and beat Texas, yeah, Billy Napier gets an extension, and we probably sign a top 5 class. But no, and then LSU comes to town. Obviously, LSU, Jaden Daniels is not coming with this LSU team. And LSU still got to show me something, man. I mean, obviously they have been defensively, they've been terrible for years now. Without Jaden Daniels lining up at quarterback, I'm not convinced. And you're losing 2 really good wide receivers as well. So you're gonna have to wait and see what LSU is. But I'm not counting. LSU is going to be a winnable ball game in the Swamp next year. It absolutely should be. Ole Miss then comes to Gainesville. Obviously, we all know what Lane Kiffin's got going on down there at Ole Miss. He's brought in every transfer he can find, including Princely. So, Princely's going to be talking some trash and whatnot. But that's going to be a very good Ole Miss team. It is what it is. And then you, of course, you round out the season November 30th at Florida State on the road. Once again, though, this is another team that's lost a lot of talent. And I understand they've brought in some transfers. But they're also got, DJ Onomatopoeia starting at quarterback, who's never shown he can do anything worth, bragging about. So, and you've got Norvell once again putting together a cast of characters that you're going to have to wait and see. You're going to have to show me something with this, because I'm going to have to see that you can actually coach when you didn't bring in all world transfers and luck yourself into a quarterback that was really, really good. So obviously this last 4 games is a really tough stretch, but there's some winnable ball games in that even as well. So CJ, your turn this time. What do you foresee shaking out? Actually, I'm going to go to you first, Wes. CJ's, I think, got some baby issues going on over there. Got to take care of the little one. So, Wes, you go ahead. Hype man, full force, obviously, on this schedule breakdown. Let's hear it. Last 4 games.
Yeah, I already had us a 7-1 in the playoffs right now, Hurst, and then I was almost, I thought about saying, okay, we're gonna lose a couple of these games and get at 13 in the top 15, and maybe we outside looking in at the playoff. But Hurst, you talked me into it. It's your fault. So fans, blame Hurst for hyping me up a little bit more with the LSU one. The first game you talked about Texas, I will say, Hurst, that's back-to-back losses. The fan base is crazy. They're all over the timelines, all in our chat, talking about he can't win the big ones. We started off 7-0, we lost to Georgia, now we go in, we lose to Texas in Austin. Okay, but then we bounce back. Is LSU next? Make sure I'm right. LSU's next, right?
After Texas, yes.
Yeah. Okay, so we have LSU at home. Hurst, that's a win. And this is what I talked about earlier when I said the thing about our schedule is it's favorable because it's a lot of games at home. So we have Texas at home. Not Texas, LSU at home. I don't think LSU will be that good. They have Perkins on defense. They lost a lot of talent with Daniels. He's going to be a top 5 pick. They have 2 receivers that's probably going to be top 15. One is going to be a top 5 pick, a top 10 pick. The other will probably be a top 20 pick with Brian Thomas. So they lose a lot. We beat LSU at home. Now that scares me. I'm gonna call this game a coin flip. This might be why we get to 15 and in, because I feel like LSU just has a freaking number. They scare me. It's even all for the last 20 years or 15 years. That game has been a coin flip game where it seems like they win a lot of them and we win some of them. But I feel like we may lose that one, and that may kick us to 15 with the 3rd loss. But I feel like we close with wins at Missouri and at Florida State, because DJ a bunch of letters. That's what you used to call him before. You call Alamar Peter, you used to call him DJ a bunch of letters.
DJ
And to me,
letters. Yep.
yeah, DJ a bunch of letters. To me, if your head coach leaves and he doesn't get you there, then there's a problem. When Lincoln Riley left Oklahoma and went to USC, what did he do? He brought Caleb Williams with him. where Arizona State coach left and then bring DJ a bunch of letters with him. So to me, that speaks a bunch to that kid's talent. He was at Oregon State. I'm sorry,
Oregon State.
I said Arizona State, Oregon State. The coach left and went to Michigan State. Why didn't he bring DJ with him? He's starting a new regime. Why didn't he bring DJ a bunch of letters with him? To me, that speaks volumes. Because if your coach believes in you that much, you take him with you, right? If you starting a new regime and that guy's that guy, you bring him with you. You saw it with Caleb Williams when Lincoln Riley left and went to USC. Caleb Williams went with him. So DJ Bunch of Letters didn't follow to Michigan State with his head coach, and that tells me enough. Even though we at Florida State, and as you spoke, they lost Verse, a bunch of guys off their defense, special guys off their offense with Wilson and Coleman and the running back. I forgot his name, starts with a B, but which I love that. That to me, that was their best player on offense. To me, with them losing all that talent, I feel like we close that and we lose 3 games and maybe we're at 15, depends on how other teams factor in. But we may be outside the top 12 in the playoffs. But I feel like we could be fighting for a playoff spot because the schedule, being that we're at home, I'm trusting Roberts, I'm trusting Armstrong, and I think an offense would be just fine because I feel like we have a lot of weapons there. So I'm looking favorable towards our schedule and guys, three losses max. Follow
Woo,
me.
woo. Yeah. Well, CJ, you get to follow that up again.
No, I had us at what 6-2 after Georgia. We win one of the games left. We'll finish 7-5. I don't know which one it is. You throw a dart, pick which one you like. That's how I feel. I don't think we match up well with a lot of these teams. They're ahead of where we are. Honestly, looking at the schedule, I feel like Florida State is the best chance we have to get a win because they lost so many people. And then DJ Uyongalele. It's just not a good quarterback. He's
CJ,
proven that at this point.
can I ask a question? How do you feel about Missouri at home, though? You don't feel like we match up well against them and
I,
LSU?
I like I like what Drinkwitz is doing at Missouri. I think Missouri is really good. I think that you could win 2 of those games, but I just feel like we win one. I don't think that you. I don't know. I've got to see something. If and listen, if we finish it out, we win one of those games. We finish the season 7-5. At this point, I'm over the moon for 7-5. If you run this season and you finish 7-5 or finish 8-4, if we finished 8-4, I'd tap dance like that. That's how I look at this point. I think that we've been beaten up for the last couple of years pretty bad, and I feel like you just got to take it one step at a time. I just don't believe the idea of we can flip a switch from 5-7 and be 10-2 or be 9-3. I just don't. Maybe you can. I don't know. It's hard for me to see that. Teams have done it. It's happened. But we didn't to me, we added a lot of good depth. We added a lot of good players in the transfer portal, but there wasn't a whole like a wave of guys who are like, okay, these guys are going to all change how the program is or how the football team is going to play. You've got some guys that definitely beef it up and maybe don't make as many mistakes. But it is what it is at this point. You lost a lot of experience at positions where you really couldn't afford it. Even if they weren't great players, they were still experienced guys, a lot of reps that you really would have rather, to me, you'd rather have them than not. Um, but I don't know. I just don't see it. I think that I've said from the beginning, 7-5, 8-4, and I'm super happy with where we're at as a team. I think the next year you take that step really to the next level. Because I think if you go 7-5, 8-4, Billy can get his keep his job. You have something more to sell recruits. They're not worried about you leaving. You also have a chance to maybe persuade some better coordinators to come in to work on the football team because they don't have to worry about their job as much. You can use that prospect of elite offensive mind coming into your football program to coach DJ Lagway, and he doesn't have to worry if DJ Lagway will be there for him to actually coach. So I think there's a lot of things that just work against us this year. But if we can survive it, and we can weather the storm, and we can go 7-5, 8-4, get into a mid-level bowl game, and get into the next season, I think we do really good. But it's just you got to get through this gauntlet. You're looking at teams that are tough to beat. Texas is a team that I don't think we stand a snowball's chance in hell against. But but really too, you could also make a case. There's a lot of teams on this schedule that are beatable. If you can right the ship. If we get into, like you said, we're 7-0 or whatever magical run that we go on, if we get to that point, everything's off the table. Then we're talking a completely different thing.
CJ, let me
Because
throw
you're
this at
7
you.
and 0.
Let me throw this at you, and I don't mean to cut you off, but I want to throw this at you so you can finish. This is my thing, and it is vice versa. My thing is we so in tune to what we are going through that we don't look at other schools as much, and it can be vice versa. Missouri fans are probably feeling like we good. LSU fans that in depth to what they're going through on this side are probably like, yeah, we straight. We got this guy coming in. We got this guy in the portal. Same thing. So that's why I'm optimistic. But to your point, what you were just saying, it can be vice versa as well. We can LSU is looking like we straight. He got a Brian Kelly got this quarterback coming in. We recruit this receiver. He's going to step up and fill this position. So it kind of works both ways. So I feel your point of we can be 8-4 or 7-5. I feel your point there, but that's why I'm optimistic, and that's why I want our fans to feel optimistic because I want our fans to support our program. But that gives me hope because I feel like what we're bringing in. I feel like these other schools like Missouri, LSU, not Texas and Georgia, because I feel like they're staples right
Why
now.
do we keep talking about Missouri?
Yeah, I
Because
don't.
he said we
Or
didn't. He said he likes what the coach is
Ole
doing
Miss
there,
we're playing
so that's why I
next week.
brought it. And Ole Miss. That to me, those three teams are the teams that I feel like we'll lose to. LSU, Missouri, Kentucky, Tennessee. I feel
Play
like our coin
Missouri.
flips. Yeah, I'm sorry, but
Yeah, we don't have to play
CJ
Missouri this year. We
CJ
don't have to
likes
play
the
Vanderbilt
coach.
either,
So
unfortunately.
I was asking the question to CJ because he said he
You
liked their
asked me
coach.
about Missouri,
So
and I was like, "Oh, like you don't think we can beat Missouri?" I'm like, "I
because
don't
it's
think we
at
can beat
home.
Missouri." And I'm
That's
like,
the only
"Is that
reason.
at
We
Because
home?" I'm like, "I
absolutely
don't think we're
cannot
playing
beat Missouri
Missouri.
this year.
you don't
We
think so,
cannot.
Hirsch?
We
Well,
play them
not
in
when you don't
Atlanta.
play them.
Us in Atlanta.
Missouri's not on the
Missouri
schedule.
and Florida SEC championship
Oh
game,
my
baby.
bad. I thought the
Mark
last
it
four was
down.
Missouri. I'm sorry. I'm sorry. I don't know why I brought Missouri up.
Mark
I
it
thought I
down.
thought the last four. My bad. That's on me. It's on me.
We
That's
ride on a
why.
lightning bolt on a silver fatter, daddy. We
Hey
gonna go
Hirsch.
1-on-1.
This is the part you don't clip. Don't clip this part.
We're swimming in the same blood, in the same mud at Fulton County Stadium, daddy. Florida and Missouri gonna go 1-on-1.
Hey
This
Hirsch,
time it's
don't clip
all
this
about
part.
business, Jay.
Hey, don't clip this part. I forgot. I don't know why
It's
I keep
all
saying.
about business,
I'm
Jay.
used to the SEC East schedule, man. That's why
SEC
I brought up Missouri, man. But I
All right,
forgot.
we got to draw this back. We done lost the plot out here,
That's
man.
on me. That's on me.
Oh
Look,
man, no, but yeah, but like I said, I just think this. I mean, LSU is a different team. You could go away, but there's the thing with LSU is I can't get my hopes up to beat them because I've seen us lose to the
That's
two
what
slackest,
that was my
like
point. Yeah.
the two slackest ass LSU teams I've ever watched play,
It's
and we found a way
crazy.
to lose both of those teams. So man,
Yeah, I'm
I
with you.
think we can. I'm not like trying to down the team or anything because I'm going to support it, and I'm always going to try to paint a good light. But you got people otherwise that are saying we're going 4-8, 3-9, 2-10. Just some wild stuff. But I don't think we're that bad. I think we get a bowl. I think we can do it. I think Billy Napier has finally, 89% or whatever ridiculous number is his roster on this team now. It's not, we can't say we got any of Dan Mullins, weak links anymore or anything like that. So I think that Billy now has his team. He's brought in a bunch of guys to try to change things around. Let's see where we get. I think that 7-5, 8-4 is very realistic.
I think if you go 7-5, you've shown progress. You've shown growth, especially against what, like you said, the predictions are going to be. The predictions are going to be we're going 4-8, 5-7 again, losing season. Everybody, that's going to be the mass pundits before the season starts is that Florida's going to be 4-8, 5-7. Billy Napier will be out of a job by November. Blah 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 blah. And I think that's just people looking at things as what's happened the last 2 seasons, as opposed to looking at the facts of it. And the facts are you have a veteran quarterback with a ton of starts coming back to lead a team that showed tremendous growth last year in a system. You would imagine he's only going to get better next season. I believe the offensive line should be much improved next season, especially now with the news that George is moving to guard. Obviously, you're going to have Barber and Dickerson at tackles. I believe, Slaughter with another year of experience. We've broke this all down. We were talking about in our spring preview. Trey with another year in the system. The depth charts are not depth charts. The roster came out today. He's put on 12 pounds since last year. So that's a great sign. Aiden Mizell's already put on like 12, 13 pounds. So these guys are going to be contributors. Defense, we've talked about. Like, I think you added some great safety depth. Linebacker, you should be much more athletic at linebacker. You've got dudes all over the defensive line, and guys that were freshmen playing last year. They're only going to get better. So a lot of the guys that made young mistakes and things last year are grown up and are going to get better. Now, the one thing that we don't know if it's going to get better yet or not, and only watching the product on the field is going to tell us this, is the coaching aspects that we saw last year, the special teams gaffes, clock management, things like that. I mean, yes, obviously we need to see some improvement there. That has to, and that's a controllable by Billy Napier and company. So if those things obviously are cleaned up with an aged roster that showed flashes of talent last year all over the place. If you put it together and get ahead of this schedule, I think you're in a really good spot. Now, there's a lot of ifs in there. Absolutely. I mean, that comes with college football every year. There's a ton of ifs. I mean, we don't win a 2006 national championship without a ton of ifs. I mean, it just happens every season. So hopefully we see a lot of these guys come through spring and then into fall and they're healthy. You see growth like we've talked about. We see some of the freshmen, you don't want to see a ton of freshmen contribute, but the right freshmen contribute. Miles Graham, Aaron Childs, guys like that. I don't see a reason why you couldn't be 7-5, 8-4 against this schedule, with room to look good against the guys that you maybe even lose to. I think if you go into Austin, Texas, and you look competitive in that football game, it's going to answer a lot of questions about where this program is headed. So that's what I would love to see next year. Obviously, guys, like we said, this is the way too early schedule breakdown. But, there's not a whole lot of football content right now, and it's fun to talk about football in this, hypothetical manner. Lets the hype man do his thing, man. He lets him get excited about the season. And we ain't been excited about Florida football very much. So got to get it back active where you can. So, guys, that's it for this week, man. Like I said, drop it down in the comments what you think the schedule, how it's going to shake out, what the record's going to be next year. We understand some of our views are askew. Obviously, Wes thinks we're going to the playoffs. I mean, hey, and he thinks we're playing Missouri. So, I mean, I don't know what to tell you.
Man, I'm telling you, they redone the SEC. That's all it needs. Missouri or Florida, and the SEC championship.
All right, CJ, what you got for us before we get out of here?
No, just thank you guys for supporting us as creators. Check out our friends at Alma Mater. Use our link. Use our code, Florida Victoria's code decision. Get 20% off with them. They're doing a lot of good stuff over there. Help out the athletes, support Gator athletes. You can also support Gator athletes buying things from Alma Mater. They have the Jersey program there. They have different things with gymnastics, softball, baseball, football, basketball, all kinds of things over there. So check them out. Make sure you guys are in the Facebook group, following the Twitter page, join the Facebook message chat. That we have daily conversation about all kinds of things in there, from recruiting to baseball to basketball. All things Gator sports. So make sure you jump in there, join in on that discussion. Again, like I said, you follow our Twitter, you can get all kinds of updates. What's going on with the Gator world, Gator sports world, different things going on out there, recruiting news, all kinds of things with us. So make sure you just tuned in as things start to get heated up here. We get into the spring game coming up really shortly. Recruiting is about to really, really pick up really soon. So make sure you guys are dialed in, because things are about to pick up. We're just kind of in that lazy season now. We're getting ready for March Madness. The Gators basketball team looking really good. Big win over Alabama. Absolutely wiped the floor with them. So get excited for that. Gators baseball team still doing Gators baseball team things. Won the series over Miami. So we're doing some really good things, really cool things over there. So make sure you just keep up with us, keep up with all the things that we got going on, all the updates and things like that. So we really appreciate you guys so much. Thank you.
Yes, sir. Take us home, Wes.
Yeah, appreciate you guys following us. We love it. Put your comments in there about the schedule. If I didn't get you guys too hyped, because I think I got you guys a little hyped about the schedule and how we may look this season without any significant injuries. I think we're going to be doing very, very well, and I think the recruiting will pick up because we're going to do well starting at the beginning of the season. We broke down the schedule in as Hirsch did it in fours. The first four, the next four, and then the last four. So I'm feeling very confident about our squad this year. So I hope you guys feel like I feel. Tell us how you guys feel. And I didn't think enough. You guys told Hirsch happy birthday last week. So
Oh,
if you didn't
Lord.
tell Hirsch happy birthday last week, please put that in the comments tonight and or tomorrow when you hear this, and let her know that you were thinking about him and give him a happy birthday. Every day was a blessing, so I'm thankful for my guys here. He's the reason why we had this podcast is we talk to each other. So I'm very, very thankful for my guys. So I want you guys to give him a real good shout out tonight if you didn't do it last week, as far as that happy birthday. And we have Zach Goodall from SI next week. So make sure you guys tune in to that podcast. He's a reporter for the Florida Gators. He's very, very good at what he does. Very good reporter. Follows the Gators and is very, very good at illustrating and going in depth with the guys on the roster and all that stuff. He had a report out today. So if you didn't check that out, go to SI and check out Zach Goodall. He was on Paul Feinbein's show as well, talking about the Gators and in the season that's upcoming. So yeah, we have a hard schedule. We could be 6-6 and be one of the best teams in the country because our schedule is that daunting. And that's what CJ and Hirsch was talking about as far as the schedule is very, very hard. So you know me, I'm hyped and and I think we can master the schedule, but they're being more realistic than I am and talking about good points. So that's what we do on here. They're more realistic. I'm just extreme to the 10th power. So check that out. Check Zach's report out and tune in next week to listen to him as he comes on the podcast and gives his news and nuggets that he's learned as he's an insider for the Gators. So thank you guys. We love you guys. And as always, go Gators.
Go Gators, beat Missouri.
Go Gators, baby. Go Gators.